loyal sons. We'll get 'em on the run, boys. We got 'em on the run. Yes, we are loyal sons. We'll get 'em on the run, boys. We got 'em on the run.
Welcome back to HLS TV. I'm Molly Moran here with Ryan Ritter, and we will be discussing this weekend against Syracuse. So the Syracuse game was interesting, to say the least.
That's definitely one way to describe it. Interesting.
Yeah.
That'll work.
It's a gentle way to describe it, I think. Yeah, lot to talk about. The 5 things that stand out in my mind are the turnovers, but what are some of your initial thoughts on the game?
Yeah, those are 5 very good places to start.
Yeah, I think so.
It was something I wrote about last night too. Just I filled out that drive chart. I wanted to see what stood out. I knew it's like, oh yes, of course the 5 turnovers are going to suck, but I had no idea just how badly it was going to suck, especially the fumbles. And I don't know. I guess after watching the game, your brain kind of erases all the good that happens on those drives. But we should have scored on each one of those, so it should have been a blowout. And then you have Everett's 2 interceptions were just. They were both of them were terrible. I mean, just
no, it's still uncharacteristic.
Well, I mean, he is. I guess it's hard to forget that this is only his 2nd season starting. And,
I know, that's true.
And he did such a great job in the first couple of games out of the gate. You know, we're like, oh yeah, you know, George Whitfield he's got him. You know, he's ready. This is a Gulson that can do no wrong, and he finally did wrong. But hey.
Right.
You managed to lose the turnover battle by 4, and you still won by a very comfortable margin. So that's pretty impressive, to say the least.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was I was going to say, my thoughts on the game kind of, if I were to sum it up in 140 characters, I tweeted, I don't know what it was, I guess Sunday after the game, I said something like, if you can have 5 turnovers and still win by 16, I'm not mad about it. Nervous, but not mad. And, I mean, I think that's saying something. So
it is, even despite how bad Syracuse is. I mean, I don't think they're a very good football team. I think that's rather obvious. But even against bad football teams, when you turn the ball over that much, you're supposed to lose.
Exactly.
And Florida State had the same problem, albeit I would think North Carolina is a little bit better of a team. But, I mean, same situation. They were shooting themselves in the foot, too. And in their case, North Carolina was actually capitalizing on those points. So they were actually scoring off the turnovers, made that game a lot closer until they finally pulled away at the end. But, yeah, I mean, when you turn that ball over that much, you should lose. And it was sort of this weird feeling, even watching the post-game conferences, is like, yeah, we won, but, man, we kind of sucked. So
yeah, I know. Still kind of scary.
Which is good, and I guess it's a sign of the team, maturing, knowing that they expect better of themselves. Everett in his post-game conference, I think, handled it exactly how you'd want him to handle it. Like, yeah, I got a lot to work on. Things got better, but I'm going to focus more on what I need to work on. It's exactly what you want to hear from a quarterback after a game like that.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely a lot of accountability, which is good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, positives of the game. Kind of segueing into that.
Yeah. At first, we got another 30-plus point game, which was the first time that we did it in 4 straight games since 1943. I had to go look on the date on my sheet. And just to think about 1943, here are the teams that Notre Dame played that year. You'll recognize these, but they played Pitt, who finished the season 3-5. Georgia Tech, who were the SEC champs. Yes, Georgia Tech was the SEC champion that season. They hung 30-plus on Michigan, who won what was the Western Conference at that time. They were the co-champions. They finished 8-1, and they beat Wisconsin, that finished 9-1. Somehow the site I saw didn't list them as co-champions, but I didn't dig back into. They could have been independent. But here's the other one that I liked from that season. Their one loss, and I think only the most stringent Notre Dame historians would get this. They lost to Great Lakes Navy, who finished the season at 10-2.
Yeah, I would have never known that.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a long time ago, and that was also a team that got the Irish their first Heisman winner, Angelo Bertelli. So maybe good signs of things to come.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you turn the ball over that much, you still pull off that stat, which is great. And Golson had that ridiculous completion streak, and we were all wondering on Twitter who was right or wrong. ESPN said one
Right.
thing, Notre Dame said another, and then Syracuse apparently had Notre Dame, the stats Notre Dame was going off of, and then Syracuse later said, nope, it was 25, and everybody's just like, yeah, whatever. He should have still had it, because that pass where he should have tied the record was so far behind. And do you believe either one of them when they said that they didn't know about the record? Because they both denied it after the game. But after those reactions,
Yeah. I think that's what. Yeah, I don't know about that one, but.
Kelly just had this look on his face, like, seriously, I called that screen.
Right, exactly.
Like, it couldn't have been easier, and it didn't. Yeah, and it didn't just look like the normal Brian Kelly was frustrated, because most of the game, I mean, he was pretty calm with Golson's mistakes.
He was pretty calm. Yeah.
Wasn't calm with everybody. He definitely called Procise an effing moron at one point.
Yeah, he did.
But no, he was really calm with Golson. It was like, you know, just talking, trying to figure out what went wrong. But on that play, he just had the look of, you gotta be kidding me. Like, that, you cannot miss that pass. That's right in front of you. Easy pass. What are you doing? I'm trying to hand you an NCAA record, and you blew it.
Yep. Not so calm anymore.
And what'd you think about all the screenplays? I mean, we've barely seen screens in the I nearly said the Weiss era. Right? It was like the Weiss era. So what did you think about all those?
Well, I was laughing because my dad, he was actually out of town, but I could hear him in my head because he would always be, we can't watch the game together. He's usually in the basement. I'm usually in the living room, and he'll be like, just throw a screen pass. And so when it was screen, I was like, oh my gosh, somewhere in Tennessee, my dad's like, what's going on? I've said this for forever, but...
He must have finally gotten the mail.
Yeah, he finally got the memo. But yeah, it works. I don't know. It was interesting, that's for sure.
Well, as much as Syracuse was blitzing, it was the perfect counterpunch to it. It's like, yeah, okay, keep blitzing. We're going to keep throwing screens, and we're going to
I was like, not perfect, don't fix it, but... Yeah.
We'll have linemen downfield blocking cornerbacks because everybody else is in the backfield. This sounds like a great plan for us. Yeah, I mean the screen offense was good. I even saw I'm trying to remember who it was. I'm blanking. One of the former linemen was on Twitter saying, "Yeah, this is the best we've ever run screens in the Kelly era," which is high praise.
Yeah.
And Tommy Rees was loving it too. He said he was loving watching all the guards go out, and said he was a guard at heart when he was going back and forth.
I have to say I was enjoying Tommy Rees's Twitter feed during the game.
He goes on the Down the Line podcast on the new Notre Dame Nation Network, and does a great interview there. And and it's like you almost feel like it's Coach Tommy sitting there, like going back and tweeting at the game. It's totally.
I was like, I like this.
And he actually follows me now, which is kind of awkward. I'm like, God, I can't make like.
He does big time.
Yeah, it's like, can I?
What can you say?
What if I make Tommy no jokes? Is cool? Which I'm sure he is.
You call me that, Tommy.
There's no way that kid doesn't have incredibly thick skin, but
yeah, no, he has to.
Yeah, and I'm sure at some points, even he was watching that game, some of the throws like, dude, Everett, no, come on, I've been there. You can't do that. And really, those passes, I think, were some of the interceptions that Tommy made in his younger years, because I mean, the first one that Everett threw. Not only was it a bad pass that he sailed, but he completely missed a corner blitzing on his blind side. He never read it, and that's easy single coverage downfield that he had, much easier throw. And then, he even said in the post-game conference that he saw the safety rolling down and he should have thrown to the back shoulder, but man, even the back shoulder would have been picked off. So I think in film, Kelly would say, nope, I don't care where you think you were going to throw that ball. That was a bad idea.
Right. Yeah.
So what else do we have in this game? You got anything else?
What did we have? It was a lot of everything.
Well, we had something that resembled a running game, despite ESPN convinced that we didn't have one. I mean, I know it wasn't great, but it worked.
It did.
And I don't know, what did you see from the new offensive line? I was trying to pay attention on that. What was your impressions for how they performed?
I mean, that was I didn't realize that there was gonna be like a scramble up or whatever because that was like made like I guess I don't know where I was for all that, but yeah, they're like, oh, it got all changed up, and I was like, it did. Let me see what's going on here, and I don't know. I guess I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
trying to pay attention too, but then I think I got distracted by other things going on. But I mean,
yeah. They got I think they got a good push for most of the game. I'd have to go back and
yeah,
watch.
I wasn't. I mean, I think the fact that I didn't really have much to say is probably a good thing. I mean, I didn't notice anything horrible, so you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think their worst play was one where, I mean, Golson got cleaned pretty good on one sack, but I even
Yeah.
mentioned on Twitter during the replay what they overloaded one side of the line so much, and somebody did miss a block. They were doing, a twist play, so
Right.
somebody missed the twist. I forgot which guard it was off the top of my head, but it was
Hmm.
missed. Even if he gets that, there's still somebody coming off, off tackle, untouched,
Right.
was going to get to Golson anyway. The
Hmm.
only way you stop that is you notice that it's coming from that direction. For all I know, Everett thought he would have had enough time, or it
Hmm.
wasn't going to be coming, that many blitzers.
Right.
And it's like, oh, I got it. I just have to get rid of the ball pretty quick because
Yeah, there's a lot of factors there.
they were on him in a hurry, and
Hmm.
I really don't begrudge him that. And it looked like after that play, it's like Notre Dame. I think really that was almost like the point where they were determined to run screens every other play and
Yeah.
draws and things like that, to
Hmm.
where I was finally looking. It's like eventually they're going to stop blitzing, and they did, and it opened up the rest of the game. It made Syracuse get on their heels, and every time they got aggressive, it seemed like there's another screen coming out the way, and that was a great play calling by Kelly. I got to give them kudos. They really, you could tell they did a lot of work on the bye week for this one, and all the new formations. We saw a triple option for the first time
Yeah.
in Notre Dame in forever. Not a traditional one. I mean, it was still a forward pass, but a triple option all the same.
Yeah, I think I did like the double taker. I was kind of like, wait, what? Did I flip the
Yeah,
channel here? Nope, this is us. Cool.
yeah. I was like, there's two running backs, there's two tight ends.
Yeah.
Who is this, and what did you do with our team, and don't
Right.
change. Yeah, and Kelly afterwards in the game said that at least he kind of hinted that there might be more to come, which makes sense. You don't want to pull out all your fun tricks against Syracuse with Stanford coming
Exactly.
around the corner. So I loved it. I really think the bye week people got healthy. Torrey Hunter finally getting a chance to play and scoring
Yeah,
a
that was
touchdown, no less.
exciting. Yeah.
Did you check out that icon video? Have you seen that yet?
I haven't yet, and I love watching this, so I'll probably do that after this.
Yeah, it is a complete focus on him scoring a touchdown, and it's awesome to see his teammates being so thrilled about that.
Yeah,
And yeah, you can tell it's been a long time coming from him. I mean, the poor guy has been hurt
I
for so long.
know. Did not have very good luck.
No, not
That's
at
good.
all.
I'm glad he's back.
So I guess how about MVPs? I think we kind of got most of the game. And
Yeah.
oh no, I know what we missed.
Oh,
I
what do
know
we
what we
miss?
missed. The defense.
Oh, the
How can we
defense.
talk about this game without talking about the defense?
True. Shame on us.
Yeah. You start. What were your overall impressions?
I mean, like it kind of goes back to what we said. If you can have 5 turnovers but still win by 16, you know something's going right. And I think football starts on the defensive side of the ball, so I think they did a good job not allowing Syracuse to capitalize on some of those turnovers, and they just played well the whole game. I thought they did a really good job.
Yeah, and I mean, 7 of the points given up was seven. There was a pick six, so that
Mhm.
7 they actually went for 2 and didn't convert, and another touchdown happened after a fumble. So I mean, really, those are you expect a defense to eventually give up points off turnovers,
Right.
and they only gave up 12 because they managed to block an extra point and stop a 2-point
Yeah.
conversion.
Yeah.
But yeah, the defense played great, and I know there was a lot of concern, especially about the running attack. And
Mhm.
a lot of people thought, well, I mean, it's a different running attack than Stanford, but it was going to be the first real test of Notre Dame going against what people considered a pretty decent rushing attack.
Right.
And hey, I thought they passed with flying colors personally,
I
and
agree. Yeah.
Syracuse quarterback never looked comfortable, although at some points it was just like out of nowhere he would throw this perfect, beautiful pass that was completely undefendable. But, but beyond that, it felt like they were in the backfield every single play, and it's something I eventually want to go back and see just how many tackles for loss they had, because it felt like
Yeah.
every other play they had one.
Mhm. Yeah, can't beat that.
So, yeah, I mean, do you feel like, are we getting too confident about the defense?
I don't think so. I would be confident about something. Defense. That's what I'll put my confidence in. No, I mean, there's other things to be confident about, but no. I honestly, I think for something that there was some questions about, maybe, I think we're allowed to be confident because I think they're doing a good job.
And I know a lot of people are like, well, Stanford's rushing attack is different, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But
Right.
I really think you play the team that's in front of you,
Yeah,
and
exactly. No, I agree. Like, you can't look ahead too much, and if you're not going to do it against Syracuse, you're not going to do it against Stanford, and they did it against Syracuse, so we'll move one by one.
right, and really, I think the only portion where the defense I think's played poor was the first half against Purdue, and they completely
Yeah,
turned it around the second half.
exactly. Yeah, that's all you can ask. If you are going to kind of drop the ball a little bit, then if you just tighten up and fix it, then you're good.
Yeah, let's just not make the defense do that again.
Yeah, but let's not have to do that. But if you have to do it, then adjust.
Okay, so now with that in mind, let's do some MVPs.
Now
How about that?
MVPs. And this for me was easy because I just knew, I was like, oh, he's gonna be my MVP. Will Fuller for sure.
Yes, awesome.
I was like, oh, yep, MVP. Even after the first touchdown, I was just like, yeah, he was just on. You could just tell. Yeah, he was having a game.
And it was funny. Kelly in his press game comments, it was almost like it's like he's reading our Twitter feeds, I swear, because I think everybody it was the lone 3-and-out, I believe, to where he had a tunnel screen and he had the first down, but he just decided, oh, I can turn the corner, which was the dumb idea, and we didn't get it.
Yeah.
He apparently said to Kelly, "Give me that play again, and I'll score."
Yeah.
He did it. Lo and behold, he scored.
Yeah.
He got the right direction.
Yeah, I watched a video about that. I'm not sure who it was through, but yeah, it was a whole 3-minute video dedicated to that. And Kelly was talking about how he just said, like, look, yeah, give me the ball, I got this. And I was like, that's pretty cool. He did, totally did.
Yeah,
so I think that's awesome. Same thing, accountability, just knowing that you can pick yourself back up and do it. And I was like, good for you.
Do you remember at the point in the season where we were worried about who's the playmaker on the wide receiver is going to be?
Yeah. I don't think I'm worried anymore, though.
Yeah,
he's filling out number 7 pretty well.
Yeah, well, and not only that, I mean, honorable mention to the little admiral there. I mean, Corey Robinson had himself a day. You don't see a receiver that big running screens away.
Right? Yeah, he's another one that I think is super fun to watch, and I'm excited. Yeah, I don't think that's a good point. We were kind of like, wide receiver who? I don't know who's that going to be, but I think they're gelling a lot more, and I think we're seeing some guys step up, which is exciting.
Yeah, and the other honorable mention for him, not just the screens, but that touchdown catch he had in the end zone. He's absolutely being mugged. Even the referee's flag hits him, and he still catches the ball. The guy's got a cast on one of his hands. How you do? How good is that kid's hands? Where he's got something that should. I don't know if I could catch with 2 hands on a normal basis like they can, but with a cast, are you kidding me?
I know, he's just that good.
Yeah, and apparently next week we get Amir Carlisle back, to where I know a lot of people are saying, it's like, man, imagine Amir on those screens. And
yeah.
Because that's exactly why you have Amir there, and you know, Torrey Hunter showed he can play. He's got incredible speed, and it's awesome to. It's like we always wonder, like, you know, oh, Floyd's gone, you know, what's going to happen? Oh, look, Golden Tate's doing good. It's like, well, Tate's gone. What's going to happen? Everybody just seems to step up, and it's gone good. And that's something we do have to tip our hat to Weiss, the now recently fired ex-Kansas Jayhawk coach.
Moment of silence. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what he completely blew it at Kansas, but I mean, he recruited weapons here. And Kelly has kept that going, and I mean, you could tell there's a plan. It's just like every time we wonder about who's going to step up, somebody steps up. And we were laughing about next man in. It's like, oh, that's a cliche line, but I mean, God, lo and behold, they keep freaking doing it. But I'm trying to think of who I would put for defensive MVP, because, man, I mean, so many people were playing so great, and you had people. I mean, it was like the entire defensive line was in the backfield. I may just maybe to Van Gorder then, the defensive MVP, because he's done a great job.
Hmm.
I've been impressed.
Yeah, I don't. It's hard to pick. I shouldn't give them all a big gold star.
Yeah, I mean,
Stars for everyone.
every
Helmet stickers. I don't know.
I mean, I can't really think of too many times. I mean, there was a couple lapses, but nothing, terrible.
Right.
And I mean, anytime you have somebody like Jalen Smith just like blend into the background of a game, your defense had a hell of a game.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because Jalen Smith, it's not like he had a poor game by any
No.
means.
Right. It's just everyone else is kind of stepping up to his level almost. It's good. Like you couldn't pick him out of the pack. They were all kind of that awesome.
Yeah, Mr. Smith's still a big player. I mean,
Yeah.
I was asked the modern day Rudy. I'm like, it's him, and
For sure.
like, freaking starting, and he's good.
I know. I'm such a fan of his. I love seeing him do well.
Yeah, it's one of those like only at Notre Dame stories that it's like this can't happen in real life, and yet here it is. He's got a scholarship. He's playing like a scholarship player, and I can't imagine the defense without him. That's the kind of impact
I
he's made.
know, and he's such a nice guy. I mean, I don't like know him personally, but I go to Football 101 every year, and this is what I remember about him. Brief story. We were in the locker room, and you could ask questions, and he was one of the guys there, and he had nail polish on. And so one of the coaches was joking, like, if you want to know why he has nail polish on, go ahead and ask him. They're like, it's a really cute story. And so we're like, why do you have nail polish on? He volunteered at an old person's home, and he was at the manicure station, and the little old lady wanted to paint his nails, so they were blue and gold. And I was just like, stop, that's the cutest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Okay, that's almost sickening.
Right? And all the guys are like, yeah, we know. And he's like, what? And I was like, oh my gosh, stop, you're my favorite. Like, from then on out, I was like, I am rooting for you for sure. Like, he's just so nice.
So,
And his nails look really good. So,
but you were in on it before it was cool.
yes, I was.
Before he made the pick in the Shamrock series, after he had the awesome, video tribute dedicated to him pregame.
Yes, I was already team Joe Schmidt, so.
That's perfect. That's awesome. All those little ladies must have loved him for doing that.
Right, I was like, that's the cutest thing I've ever heard.
Which coach was egging you to tell that story? Do you remember?
I can't remember. It might have been. I'm trying to think who was in there.
Because I might now have a new favorite coach on.
Right? I know. Like, oh my goodness. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll try to think. I'll ask someone else who was there with me, and maybe I'll remember. But it was pretty funny.
That is, it's like, talk about being sold out, but hey, that's awesome. Oh, so I guess moving on.
I guess next week? Yeah.
I think there's a big game going on.
I think, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I haven't gotten to watch as much of Stanford as I would have liked. I've gotten to see a little bit of them. Have you been able to catch any of them?
Nope, I've probably been able to watch less than you. I blame weekend princess jobs, but
yes, which is why actually we planned to have this episode
I know
yesterday, but hey,
I apologize.
Work calls, and heck, even I wanted to film this episode earlier tonight, and my work hosed me. So I mean, life happens. But
let it go.
Yeah, perfect with the princess thing. Absolutely perfect. But yeah, Stanford is, and I'm gonna kind of dive into what I'm gonna write about in the roundup here because I freaking hate this team, and I don't. And it's recent, and the reason why I hate them is because I am so tired of people holding Stanford up as this like ideal that Notre Dame football should be like Stanford because they have academics and they have a great rushing attack. And yeah, you know what that great rushing attack looks like right now? 70th in the nation. And that's their offense. It's 70th in the nation. And it's an absolute wonder that they were able to beat Washington. I know I kept looking at the score. I was actually out with my wife and some of her friends that she was meeting that were in town, and I'm looking like, I thought the game with Washington would be close, but it's tied into the fourth quarter. What the hell's going on?
Right.
So, and I'm going to eventually have to go rewatch that, but yeah, I mean, that's why I can't stand them is because everybody just thinks it's, now, I mean, don't get me wrong, you got to be able to run the ball to win because you cannot be a one-dimensional team. Now, the thing alongside that, though, is just because you recruit this physical team that can do that doesn't mean that's the only way to do it. Now, Stanford had been successful at that, and I think a lot of it had to do with they've had. I'm not that impressed with Hogan. I think they've had much better quarterbacks. Obviously Andrew Luck, which
Right.
I mean that's a once in a generation quarterback recruit for them. You have him in the same conversation with Elway as far as that school goes.
Yeah.
So and here's some other stats with it, and this is why and it's not me saying Stanford's style of play is bad. It's just their style of play isn't the end-all, be-all. And one thing that's brought up a lot is the red zone performance. And this sticks out like a sore thumb to me. Okay, so their red zone performance is they score 63% of the time in the red zone, which is good for 121st in the nation.
Yeah.
Now, Notre Dame, and mind you, this was after a pretty fumble-happy performance. I think one of them may consider a red zone failure, but they're 94.44%, which is good for 13th in the nation. And if you're talking, if you're at pure touchdown percentage, 42% for Stanford, which is 114th in the nation, and Notre Dame is at 67%, which is in the top 50 in the nation. So it's not really, and like I said, this is why I hate Stanford. It's because it's the idea that what they do is the answer. No, you have to have so much more. You have to have the right people in the program. You got to have the talent. And I don't know how you feel about it, but I think Kelly had a real clear vision of what he wanted. He just didn't have all the pieces in place.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah. Especially with Golson getting the suspension last year. And you can even see now it's not like Kelly hates the run. I mean, he spent an entire bye week revamping the running offense just about. Shuffling the line. He knows you got to run the ball, and I know people have disagreed with me in the past when I've said, Kelly is actually, just because you're spread out doesn't mean he doesn't like to run. Kelly likes to run the ball, but we haven't been successful at it. So, so I hate Stanford, and I want to just destroy them because I hate this. It's like, if we could only play like them, it's like, no, we don't. You have to completely rebuild to be like them. You need a different coach to be like them. So there's so many different ways to do this, and people think that it's like, well, Alabama does the same. Spoiler alert, they pass. Wait, plug in the mic. Spoiler alert, they pass a lot. even before Lane Kiffin came on there, I know a lot of people will probably think now that Lane changed everything, but that's not the case. And you can't just do one thing well, and when the thing you're supposed to be best at is 70th in the nation,
Right. Yeah, I'm not looking so good. I think people have short memories too, to be honest. So.
Yeah. How do you feel about Stanford? I've obviously just spewed all kinds of venom at them. How do you feel about this little rivalry?
I mean, I too hate them. So I don't know. I just have I remember weird little tidbits that just make me dislike them. Like I remember Harbaugh going for 2 one year, and it just was completely unnecessary. Just little things that make me I don't like Stanford. I don't know. I don't know if you remember that, but that just sticks out in my mind.
Yeah, and, Harbaugh is definitely rough around the edges. Shaw's cut from the same cloth. There's no doubt about that.
But I want to beat them. That's how I feel about them.
It's funny. I mean, I'll give him credit now. And again, it's much like Brian Kelly. Harbaugh had a vision. He followed through with it, and Stanford wanted to keep that going along, so they got a Harbaugh disciple in Shaw and tried to keep that consistent going. So I think we're starting to see that, there's a little bit of a decline from Harbaugh to Shaw, but yeah, I think the most important thing in college football in general is having a vision and sticking with it. And if there's going to bring back Weiss, because he had a vision for the offense and at most parts. And in 2007, when we tried to start Demetrius Jackson, he tried to do the spread option thing. You could tell he wasn't comfortable because he canned the thing in the first quarter, and all of a sudden we're back to, the same offense he was running. It was like, well, just do that to begin with. Why waste his time?
Right.
And I don't blame him for transferring. I mean, he knew that it was over from that point. But what Weiss didn't have a clue on was the defense. And I think Kelly has in mind what he wants for the defense, or at least the type of personality around it. And so, I mean, that's the biggest thing for me. Now, I mean, as long as we're talking about positives and, Stanford having a vision, one thing I will have to tip their hat my hat to is that their defense is still ranked number one in the nation right now
Yeah.
in terms of total yards. I believe scoring two, but my notes only wrote down the defense, total defense in terms of yardage. Notre
Yeah.
Dame, in comparison, is 38. So, I mean, to me, I honestly think that based on what we've seen from the defense, it'll be a stronger line. It'll be a different kind of running game. But if Notre Dame can stop that rushing attack, I think it's more of a matter of can we score on the defense.
I agree. I think that's got to be the biggest concern. But how concerned are we really? Not very. No, I'm just kidding.
It's weird. I think the line the line opened with Stanford favored by 1, which is so strange. So it's basically
that's interesting.
almost a toss up. I have a feeling that thing's going to move. The way Notre Dame fans tend to bet games, it's always usually heavy on ND. So I wouldn't be surprised if before the week's over, Notre Dame's favored in this one.
Yeah.
But I think Stanford's a team on the decline. The last season they had, and they went to the Rose Bowl, they got waxed by Michigan State. And that was a Michigan State team that Tommy Rees beat. So, and, this is a Stanford team that Tommy Rees has also helped beat because we all remember the goal line stand, but Tommy Rees led them there. I definitely think it's a winnable game. I feel a lot better than I did about this at the beginning of the season, and part of it I think has to do with the way Notre Dame's played, but a large part of it also has to do with I just don't think maybe they'll get on track later in the season, but they just don't look as good as they have in previous years, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. We'll see Saturday.
Yes, and it's finally not a night game. I'm getting old now. I'm like, yes, it's an afternoon game.
Yay, 3:30. I'll be awake. Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. They're great for tailgates, though. I mean, that's probably the best part. If you're going to a game, that's when it's awesome because you have all this time
all
to hang out
day.
with people. But man, it's absolutely brutal when you're just sitting around. And if it's a big game, like I'm gonna go nuts Florida State because that's gonna be prime time without a doubt.
I'm just gonna pace all day and then I can't eat. I get nervous. You'd think I played or something.
See, I do the opposite. I'm like all the comfort food.
I can't eat. I get so nervous, and when I do, I regret it. I get like nauseous. I'm saying like, oh my gosh, this is a bad idea. Rock back and forth.
Yeah, the spiral of anxiety going down. It's like, oh, it's like too nervous. Steve's like, oh, I need these. Oh no.
I know, it seriously is. So yes, 3:30. I think I can eat maybe. Or if I don't eat, I'll have more time to eat after. So that's good.
Yeah, but we're feeling pretty good. So
we are.
Should be good. I'm excited. It's really the first real test for this team. Regardless of where I think Stanford is, it's going to get eyeballs around the nation. It's going to make a big difference, I think, in a lot of people's minds of where we're at as a team.
Yep, I agree. So before we sign off, we do have an announcement about podcast format for our show, right?
Yes. All right. So I think just about every episode I have a handful of people saying, hey, I can't watch, the show. It'd be better if I had it on, to watch or listen rather on my commute. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are asking, can we do this in podcast? Well, I've been doing a bunch of research trying to figure out how to get YouTube converted to an audio file, figured that out. So right now I have us up on herloyalsons.podbean.com, and I'll make sure it's linked on the post that's going to have this. And yes, to answer the question, we will eventually be on iTunes. We have to do a couple more things to get it submitted. We need a couple graphic logos, and then we're at the mercy of Apple at that point. So I said on Twitter probably by the end of October, and that's more or less why, because we did this before when the Irish Twins, who now do Notre Dame fan radio on the new Notre Dame network, and you should definitely tune into them. They air on Wednesday nights and after Notre Dame games, and it's a call-in show, so call in. They're great guys. They're doing great things over there. They've really found an awesome format, so excited for them. But, yeah, learned a lot from trying to host their podcast on our site. So I'm sorry, guys, if you're listening. Now that I've learned from the mistakes I made then, because they produce great content, and it was a struggle for me to get it on iTunes in a timely fashion. But anyway, that's a very long way of me saying that. So every episode, we will always have it on our YouTube channel. It will also be on Podbean, eventually iTunes, so you can digest us any way you want. We're giving you options. It's all about options.
Awesome. Yeah, all options. Triple options.
Yes. Yeah, you can. Her little son's YouTube and audio podcast. So
look at that.
Look at us go. And also the good part is if we ever decide to do any other show podcast format, I set it up to where it's all going to be easily put in the same feed, and hopefully you can tell the different categorizations. But that's more me future proofing. I don't know if we're going to do any other things. I know we've talked about a handful of different ideas. This is the one that has come to fruition though. Is HLS TV. We definitely wanted to do this, and had a blast. So obviously I want to thank people for watching and caring enough to request this. I didn't know people would actually care enough to request it, hence the reason I never had it set up. So
yeah, agreed.
A handful of people asked for it. I was like, just a handful of people, and it kept coming and coming. I was like, okay, crap, I need to get on this now.
Yeah, that's so exciting, though.
So yeah, as always, thank you for watching and listening. However you do it, spread the word. We have fun, so
we do. Yeah, so thank you so much, and I guess we'll see you for the next episode. Go Irish, beat Stanford.
Says we are her loyal son.